like the moon and the stars and the sun. Well, we all shine on and on and on, on. Well, we all shine on, like the moon and the stars and the sun. Well, we all shine on, everyone, one more time. Well, we all shine on, like the moon and the stars and the sun. Well, we all shine on, everyone, come on. When the morning breaks and the sunlight warms my soul, in the east the eagle flies and the red tail proudly soars. I'm on my way to the place of the spirit one. Grandfather, hear me now, I am on fire. Let the Sundance guide my feet to your desire. Show me visions for my eyes and words like gold that shimmer in the sun. High up, high up, high up. When the sun goes down and it grows too dark to see, I look within to the shaman's mysteries. I'm on my way to die and live again. Grandmother Earth, I cry, give me rest. I take my place with a woman in the west. Show me the raven and the bear, the way of herbs and the black obsidian. High up, high up, high up. Turn toward the south, like the water I will run. In innocence and trust, the moonchild song is sung. I'm on my way to the place of the sacred plants. My emotions and my will at their command, where the turtle's voice is heard upon the land, where the wise coyote prowls, the rattlesnake will call me to the dance. High up, high up, high up. In the deepest night, the stars watch over me. Old woman of the north, my mind seeks clarity. I'm on my way to the place of the northern winds. Let the thunder and the lightning carry me. Lay my thoughts to rest and send me into sleep with the hawk and the buffalo, my mind's white crystal magic medicine. High up, high up, high up, high up, high up.
Ours is a sin. familiar voice you hear every day. Life's not a goal or race, it's about heart and faith and living a life of grace every day. Ours is a simple faith. Life is a short embrace. Heaven is in this place every day. Hope is the ground we till. Make each day what you will. Thankful for dreams fulfilled every day. Trust is an open hand, making an honest stand, rooted here in this land every day. Living the mystery, seeking the harmony here between you and me every day. Ours is a simple faith. Life is a short embrace. Living a life of faith every day. Hope is the ground we till. Make each day what you will. Thankful for dreams fulfilled every day. Everybody is wondering what and where they all came from. Everybody is worrying about where they're gonna go when the whole thing's done. No one knows for certain, so it's all the same to me. Think I'll just let the mystery be. Some say once gone, you're gone forever, and some say you're gonna come back. Some say you'll rest in the arms of the Savior if sinful ways you lack. Some say they're gonna come back in the garden, but your carrots and little sweet peas. Think I'll just let the mystery be. Everybody is wondering what and where they all came from. Everybody is worried about where they're gonna go when the whole thing's done. No one knows for certain, and so it's all the same to me. Think I'll just let the mystery be. Some say they're going to a place called glory, and I ain't saying it ain't fact. But I've heard that I'm on the road to purgatory, and I don't like the sound of that. I believe in love and to live my life accordingly, and I choose to let the mystery be. Everybody is wondering what and where they all came from. Everybody is worried about where they're gonna go when the whole thing's done. No one knows for certain, and so it's all the same to me. Think I'll just let the mystery be. Think I'll just let the mystery be. Because the world is round, it turns me on. Because the world is round, because the wind is high, it blows my mind. Because the wind is high. Love is old, love is new. Love is all, love is you. Because the sky is blue, it makes me cry. Because the sky is blue.
Welcome to Holston Valley Unitarian Universalist Church. I am the Reverend Tiffany Sapp, and I am the minister of this church, and I'm so happy that you could be here with us today. Please be aware that this service is being live streamed and recorded, and that you can find subtitles in one of the menu options at the bottom of the screen. We are still posting our services to YouTube, and you are welcome to join us in that way, but you will miss being able to participate in our interactive joys and concerns. Our church's vision is that we work together as a church to transform ourselves, our community, and our world by sharing love, pursuing justice, and seeking wonder. And we've been talking a lot about pursuing justice lately. And next week, we're going to talk about sharing love. But this week, we seek wonder. Wonder comes from a lot of places, but for me, the heady stuff of science never fails to deposit my imagination in a vast sea of wonder. Wonder comes from a lot of places, from the bigness of space to the smallness of atoms, or the ways that a primordial soup of molecules took millions of years to evolve into a creature that could even contemplate any of this. The knowledge about our world that science has gifted us with makes me say, wow. And I'm not alone. Some of my favorite popular scientists get caught up in the wonder as well, and several of them will accompany us on our journey today.
I am Tom Burns, and I'm happy to be with you today as your service leader. Even though we aren't in person, we are together. We are part of a community that is interconnected in many ways. One of the ways that we're connected is through the earth that we live on, that supports all life. Another way is in the elements that make up our bodies, which were created by exploding stars. Let's light a chalice to celebrate all the ways we are connected to each other and to this vast and complex universe. If you have a chalice or a candle that you would like to light with me, please join me now with these words from Carl Sagan's Cosmos. The cosmos is within us. The nitrogen in our DNA, the calcium in our teeth, the iron in our blood, the carbon in our apple pies were made in the interiors of collapsing stars. We are made of star stuff. We are a way for the cosmos to know itself.
Okay, it's a quote.
Our time for all ages is about a scientist.
We are star stuff.
Somebody needs to mute themselves, please. See if you're on mute.
Our time for all ages story is about a scientist. One of the things that makes scientists unique is that they use specific methods of inquiry when they're seeking wonder. So as the story begins, we ask you to contemplate and to type in the chat your guess to this question: who was the first scientist?
Let me start by apologizing. I missed one of my starting tasks this morning, which is clicking the button that makes it impossible for you all to unmute yourself. And I cannot figure that out right now. So I'm going to ask us to work together and to really be aware of whether we're muted or not. And if you don't have a part in the service, of course, don't unmute. So we're a community, and I'm sure that we can support each other in this way. Tom has given us a question to start our story. Who is the first scientist? I would love to see your guesses, knowing that there are probably several different ways to answer this question. And a Google search gives us a variety of answers. Aristotle, for pioneering methods of observation and logical inquiry. Ibn al-Haytham, who you may have never heard of, was the first person to establish the scientific method in 1000 CE in Iraq, hundreds of years before Francis Bacon got credit for it. Really, there are many great candidates for this honor. Someone in the chat recommended Neanderthals. Another said Lucy, who walked out of Africa. Those are amazing ideas that as long as we have been alive, we have been inquiring about how we can better live our lives and testing our assumptions. The collectus consciousness, the way that we are evolving, these are all really cool ideas. And they're going to keep coming in the chat as I continue with our story. See, we're big on the quest for truth and meaning here as Unitarian Universalists. And for me, that means that I draw a lot of inspiration from scientists, people who allow their curiosity about the world around them to cause them to search and wonder and maybe even discover something that no one had discovered before. Mary Somerville, who lived and learned in Scotland in the 1800s, was just such a person. And I'm going to show you some pictures of her and her work. This is the first time I've done PowerPoint Live, but I tested it and I think it's going to work just fine. So this is Mary Somerville, and this is how she looks on a banknote from the Royal Bank of Scotland, who found her contributions to science significant enough to put her on the money. Her parents, like most people of that age, didn't see Mary as capable of doing the kind of learning and thinking that Mary did. And they were quite embarrassed by her love of learning. They would have their servants take away her candles so that she couldn't read by candlelight. But Mary simply reviewed all the great things that she had read that day in her head until the next day dawned and she could read again. She snuck into her brother's math lessons, and his tutor was so impressed by her that he let her stay. She taught herself algebra at the age of 15. Always teaching herself always reading. It's not advancing my slide. There we go. Always teaching herself, always reading. As she got older, she found a spouse that supported her curious mind. Set free from her parents' supervision, she soon became an expert in physics, chemistry, geology, and astronomy. People started coming to her for help when they didn't understand difficult concepts, even men with their own college degrees. They were coming to her for help when she wasn't even allowed to go to college because she was a woman. Through helping them, she realized that she was so good at explaining these ideas that she should write her own books. Part of what made her so unique is that a lot of times when someone studies science, they pick one area to focus on. Mary didn't do that though. She studied everything she could. She studied atoms, cells, molecules, and microorganisms like this algae. These are her actual drawings of the observations that she made through a microscope. She used math and the observation of the planets in the sky to draw attention to a very strange orbit for the planet Uranus, which would later lead other scientists to discover the planet Neptune. Eventually, she would take all the knowledge that she gathered and figured out how those different branches of science were connected to each other. She wrote a book called On the Connection of Physical Sciences, which led her to becoming very respected in scientific circles, even being welcomed to some prestigious gatherings of scientists that hadn't been open to women before. Except that people weren't called scientists back then. They were called men of science. And it was in reviewing Mary Somerville's book that the term scientist was created, when the book reviewer discovered he needed a term for a person who does science and isn't a man. So in a very real way, Mary Somerville was the first scientist, the first person that term was ever applied to, and maybe also a pioneer of gender-neutral terminology. Can you imagine loving learning so much that you just seek it out wherever you can find it, even when those around you are trying to discourage you the whole time? Can you imagine that your perspective on a variety of subjects would become so valuable that a whole new term would be created to describe you? Mary Somerville's curiosity and intelligence moved her to approach the world with a sense of wonder, and that wonder helped the entire world move forward in their quest for truth and meaning. This wonder that moves us to investigate is one of the ways that science moves us. And the sense of awe that comes from confronting the beautiful, unknown mystery is another contrasting but complementary aspect of the free and responsible search for truth and meaning. Our musical offering is a song that you may have heard from Wendy and Amy before. But this video has been redone to incorporate some images of those things of science and nature that bring us to awe. This is Let the Mystery Be.
Everybody is wondering what and where they all came from. Everybody is worrying about where they're gonna go when the whole thing's done. No one knows for certain, and so it's all the same to me. Think I'll just let the mystery be. Some say once gone, you're gone forever, and some say you're gonna come back. Some say you'll rest in the arms of the Savior if in the ways you lack. Some say they're gonna come back in the garden, but your carrots and little sweet peas. Think I'll just let the mystery be. Everybody is wondering what and where they all came from. Everybody is worried about where they're gonna go when the whole thing's done. No one knows for certain, and so it's all the same to me. Think I'll just let the mystery be. Some say they're going to a place called glory, and I ain't saying it ain't fact. But I've heard that I'm on the road to purgatory, and I don't like the sound of that. I believe in love and to live my life accordingly, and I choose to let the mystery be. Everybody is wondering what and where they all came from. Everybody is worried about where they're gonna go when the whole thing's done. No one knows for certain, and so it's all the same to me. Think I'll just let the mystery be. Think I'll just let the mystery be.
Come to this community with all that you are. Your joys and concerns are welcome here. If you're in Zoom, I welcome you to type your joys and concerns in the chat box. I might end up reading some of what you type out loud, so please only share what you're comfortable with everyone knowing. If you're on YouTube, I'm not going to be able to see what you write in the YouTube chat. While you share your joys and concerns and your moments of awe in the chat, I'm going to light a candle for all of those affected by this COVID-19 pandemic, which is all of us, and some of us more than others. Usually I bring focus onto how the pandemic is affecting us worldwide, but today the focal point of this moment feels more local. With this latest surge, all of us know someone personally who is sick right now. And so as I light this candle, I think about all of those people. I light this candle for our community. I light this candle for healing. Richard Dawkins says, matter flows from place to place and momentarily comes together to be you. Some people find that thought disturbing. I find the reality thrilling. Contemplating our very small place in the cosmos, the unique place in space and time that has come together to be me, that has come together to be you, and has brought us together today, fills me with awe and wonder. And I want to slowly and deeply breathe this moment in for all that it is. Breathe with me. Breathe deeply and slowly, filling your lungs all the way, lifting your belly, and then slowly breathe out. Your lungs are a complex gift from eons of evolution, filtering oxygen out of the air, depositing it in your bloodstream, allowing your body to function in all the amazing ways that it does. Your body has evolved to respond to quick breaths with adrenaline and slow breaths with feelings of relaxation, which is why we breathe together, slowly together, to bring a sense of calm and well-being. Every breath is a miracle. Breathe with me in this moment of space and time and wonder at the miracle of your breath. the way our chests and bellies rise and fall, the way that our bodies work, the way that we can change the shape of our feelings by changing the way that we breathe. Breathing in, breathing out. We breathe together. Matter flows from place to place and momentarily comes together to be you. Some people find that thought disturbing. I find the reality thrilling. As we breathe slowly and deeply, our bodies slow down and relax, and we remember that this present moment is a gift. And being with all of you here to share our joys and sorrows together is also a gift. It is a joy to have that song this morning. It's a joy for someone who is closing on their first home this month. Deep gratitude for the support of friends, a concern for a foster daughter's homelessness, a joy for an opportunity to actually socialize last night, joy for having more light each and every day, physically and figuratively, joy for the kindness and understanding of others, especially when we need extra compassion from others. And honestly, y'all, I can't think of any of us who doesn't need a little extra compassion right now. A puppy that just learned how to howl with the sirens. He has a great voice. I wonder if that's a joy or a concern. We hold all of these together. We hold our community sorrows with tenderness and with hope for healing. We hold our community's joy like a flame in the night, sometimes a spark, sometimes a bonfire, but always lighting the way. Holding all of this and whatever remains unspoken, we center our practice in loving kindness.
Our reading is an excerpt from the Washington Post and Deborah Farmer Chris's article on parenting with awe. We're going to try to get a link to the full article in the Zoom chat for your later reference, but here's how it begins. When my dad shook me awake at 2 a.m., I grumbled my way out to the backyard and onto the quilt he'd spread out for me and my 4 siblings. Moments later, a streak of light sliced the sky, and then another. For hours, until the sun lit the horizon, we watched the cosmic dance of the Perseid meteor shower. My 9-year-old self would have described the night as awesome. That's a good word choice because awesome has a powerful emotional connection. Awe is what we feel when we encounter something vast, wondrous, or beyond our ordinary frame of reference. It evokes a sense of mystery and wonder. And given its documented benefits, awe might be our most overlooked, undervalued emotion. Psychologist Dr. Keltner, the founding director of the Greater Good Science Center at the University of California, at Berkeley, has spent years studying the beneficial effects of awe on our physical, mental, and emotional well-being. It makes us curious rather than judgmental. It makes us collaborative. It makes us humble, sharing, and altruistic. It quiets the ego so that you're not thinking about yourself so much. It also calms the brain's default mode network and has been shown to reduce inflammation. In other words, he says, don't underestimate the power of goosebumps.
Don't underestimate the power of goosebumps. If I was going to sum up today, that's the point. Hearing scientists get really excited about their areas of interest is one of my favorite things. You've heard a few quotes already, and by the time we're done today, you will have heard a few more. The sheer enthusiasm that wonder and awe ignite in our brain is a heady thing, and I love seeing adults get swept away in it. It makes us all kids again to a certain point. And my favorite example of this is when Neil deGrasse Tyson, physicist and educator, just goes off during one of his lectures. He said, I know that the molecules in my body are traceable to phenomena in the cosmos. This makes me want to grab people on the street and say, have you heard this? I smile when I think of Neil's enthusiasm, and I wonder about how much more delightful the world would be if we did encounter strangers on the street and just oozed enthusiasm for amazing science stuff. Feel free to stop me on the street, in the grocery store, or in the hallway by my office to share with me your favorite science fact. I am into that. Also, I will take what your favorite dinosaur is. A world where people live in the awe and wonder parts of their brains more frequently would be a better world to live in. According to the scientist quoted in the article Tom just shared with us, it would be a world full of curiosity, collaboration, generosity, humility, and a general sense of well-being, as well as being full of people who would just stop you on the street to tell you how we're made up of exploded stars. Sign me up for this. It helps me understand why, with all the things that our community could have chosen as our touchstones in our vision statement, that we chose wonder. And I think wonder is a key part of the fourth principle of Unitarian Universalism, a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. Free and responsible search for truth definitely sounds like a science thing. The scientific method has been a tool that we have used to attempt to overcome our own biases as we seek out truth. Allegiance to the methods of science means that we don't claim to have done our own research by Googling stuff for 10 minutes. Instead, there's a method, a process, and the accountability of peer review. And so we believe science and scientists when it comes to epidemiology, global warming, and other environmental concerns, and all the things about life that matter. But the meaning part of the fourth principle also has a place here. And that's where the wonder comes in. That feeling of wonder, that feeling of awe, those goosebumps fills us with a sense of meaning that's sometimes hard to pin down, because it's a feeling of being connected to a large and beautiful system. Even when the bigness of it all makes us feel small by comparison, it is somehow a smallness that feels meaningful. At least it is to me. Which brings me to an interesting point about awe and wonder. We often use these words interchangeably. I've been using them interchangeably up until this point, but if we're going to really be precise with our language, awe and wonder actually mean two different things. Brene Brown talks about this distinction in her latest book, Atlas of the Heart, which kind of reads like an encyclopedia of emotions. She writes about awe and wonder in a chapter called Places We Go When It's Beyond Us. And even the title of the chapter shows us that we're moving up to the edge of what's graspable. That feeling when we encounter the edge of things that we can know and know that what lies beyond is the mystery of the unknown. She says that awe is when we're hit by that feeling of wow, so big that we just want to stand back and let the thing that gripped us shine forth in its magnificent, difficult to define beauty. Like when we look up at the vast sky in a place with no light pollution and just feel like we're a small part of an unfathomable universe. Wonder is a little different. Using Brené's words, wonder fuels our passion for exploration and learning, for curiosity and adventure. So if awe is the moment that quiets us, with a sense of being in the middle of something beautiful and mysterious, something that almost shuts our brain down with the overwhelm, then wonder is something that lights up our brain like never before and makes us want to investigate more deeply, to strive to understand. We introduce our kids to wonder early with frog eggs and caterpillar chrysalises. Wonder is the thing that makes us want to know more. It might be oversimplified to say that wonder is left-brained and awe is right-brained. That's an imperfect metaphor, but it's the best distinction I've found between these two very similar feelings. And the revelations of science definitely do both. The idea that we are literally stardust fills me with awe and wonder. That before there could be humans, there had to be an earth full of carbon, oxygen, nitrogen, and trace heavy elements. And that those come from the fusion reaction within stars. To quote Carl Sagan again, if you want to make an apple pie from scratch, you must first invent the universe. How many stars had to form, explode, reform, explode over and over again until we had enough materials for the Earth and for us and for apple pie? It makes me wonder. When you really think about how strange existence and the natural processes are that got us here, it can spark humor in us as well. Twitter personality, the crypto naturalist, breaks the nature of our existence down in a very playful sort of way when he says this: the universe is an ongoing explosion. That's where you live, in an explosion. We absolutely don't know what living is. Sometimes atoms just get very haunted. That's us. When an explosion explodes hard enough, dust wakes up and thinks about itself, and then tweets about it. There's something about wonder that opens our minds up to thinking about these things differently and expressing them differently, that really highlights how strange and wonderful this existence is. It's freeing and good for us to spend time in this mindset. I think it's how you end up with scientists that program the Mars rover Curiosity to sing happy birthday to itself. Or another less famous batch of scientists that use an electron microscope and an ion laser to build the world's smallest snowman at 2.7 microns tall. If you can't conceive of how small a micron is, a human hair is 75 microns thick. So this snowman was 2.7 microns. Very small indeed. Sure, maybe you know a scientist or two who aren't having that much fun, but they could. And our kids do too, until we test and grade it out of them. Wonder, curiosity, and play go hand in hand, and it makes us better humans too, according to the research cited in today's article. Wonder has an intrinsic value, which is why we are nurturing it here. If the weather was warmer right now, this would probably be the part of the sermon where I would encourage you to go outside and look for a bug or a mushroom or a leaf that might spark your wonder a little bit. And then maybe Google about it or something. Or we could go, if it was warmer, sit out and look at the stars like they talk about in the article. But it's too cold for me to do that right now. Although I must say that I had a great moment with a snowflake earlier this winter, but it was short-lived because I'm Southern and I wanted to get back inside. So since this is more of an indoor time of year for me, I'm looking for ways to access wonder that might let me stay warm and cozy. So maybe instead, after our online church here, you might want to go check out some Symphony of Science videos. The visuals are stunning, and it contains some of my favorite scientists getting excited about space and dinosaurs, evolution and black holes and more. And I'll post a link to that as soon as I'm done preaching. Or maybe TED Talks are more your speed. There is an entire playlist of TED Talks called When You Need to Feel Awe About the World Again. And again, I'll post the links as soon as I'm done preaching. Or if you want to be more hands-on, I'm going to share with you a link that gives you instructions about how to do a cool and easy science experiment involving milk, dish soap, and food coloring. And it is super cool and worth your time. And if you're watching us on YouTube and are like, oh, all the Zoom people are getting links, I'm going to jump over to YouTube and as soon as we're done posting live, and I'll get those links in a comment on the YouTube page, and I'll also try to get them on our church's Facebook page. Because these are fun things and they're worth checking out. All of these cozy adventures into wonder make me love to live in the world that we do, where all of these things are possible. It is awesome and wonderful to me that we can attend to the most sublime aspects of our vast universe. We can plumb the most obscure depths of scientific knowledge that is only understood through esoteric mathematical equations. And even as we go deep, we can still manage to get playful and childlike about it. It seems to me that the contrast between the deep and the playful is less like being on opposite ends of the spectrum, and is more like being different sides of the same coin, a coin called wonder.
Our chalice extinguishing comes from Neil deGrasse Tyson, who has followed in Carl Sagan's footsteps to share an infectious love of science and space with the next generation. Extinguish your chalice with me to more words of wonder and connection. We are all connected to each other biologically, to the earth chemically, to the rest of the universe atomically. And we are all connected to each other through this church community right here. There's a lot of ways to get involved and meet other people. You can check out our website at hvuuc.org for information about an upcoming in-person game day, a work day that's happening in about a month to get our grounds ready for the spring, and an online new member class that will be happening next month, and so much more. This news can also come to your email box. All you have to do is go to the very bottom of our homepage and click on mailing list sign up and fill out that form. And don't forget to send your pledges and donations in. There's information on how to do that in our closing announcement slides. And we have one very special announcement from Reverend Tiffany.
I'd like to invite each of you to sign up for one of our listening circles that we're having this month and next. I want to hear from each of you about how this church is living out this vision and how you would like to see us live out our vision in the future. I've got a chance to hear from a few of you in this last week in our first 2 listening circles. And one of the neat things that I heard from one of our more experienced members is how thrilled she is to see new faces and fresh ideas coming into the church and sometimes even taking leadership positions. And yet, most of the folks who have signed up for the listening circles are people who have been around for a while. So if you're new, even if you haven't joined the church yet, we still want to hear from you about the trajectory of our growth. And of course, if you've been here for a while and haven't signed up yet, please come share your wisdom and experience with us. There are online and in-person options, and you can find a breakdown of all the dates and times and sign-up information on the front page of our website, hvuuc.org. I look forward to the chance to listen to each of you. What you have to say will shape how we use our resources and how we plan for the future. Our benediction is a final word from Carl Sagan. In his life, he was such a hardcore atheist that I don't know what he would have thought about his words being used as a benediction, but I can't think of any words more fitting for us than these words of wonder. Across the sea of space, the stars are other suns. We've traveled this way before, and there is much to be learned. Yay, church.
truth is here.